Well, while we're here in Lorient, we have a chance to talk with Minister of DED, Mr. Skelly. I suppose we should start with this sort of thing. Wouldn't you love this on the Isle of Man? Wouldn't that be the boost of tourism you'd be looking for?
Indeed. This is sort of like our TT, I guess, on steroids, really. Here we are on the Sunday, probably the biggest day of the festival, which is a bit like our race day, I guess. And it's a wonderful feeling, a bit like our TT. A real festival, a real fun spirit, atmosphere, and very much enjoying it.
And the Isle of Man's getting great coverage here, of course, isn't it?
Outstanding, and that's one of the reasons I'm here. This festival's been going for 45 years, and this is the year that the Isle of Man has been honoured as the Celtic nation, along with Cornwall, and it's fantastic to see. This morning we were in the stadium, the streets were lined, 5, 6, maybe 10 deep. I don't know how many people were there, but the stadium probably had 10, 15, 20,000 people, and in walked the Manx flag as the first Celtic nation flag. So great honour and privilege to be here. Okay, well, let's do other things.
It's the first chance I've had to get you after the big announcement from the Chief Minister, along with yourselves, obviously, about looking to increase the population of the Isle of Man, drive more people to come and live there and work and contribute. I mean, you are DED after all. This therefore fits totally on your shoulders. Were you prepared for that? Or, were you happy with that sort of numbers you've got to find out?
It really comes down to one thing and one thing only. What we need to do is concentrate on jobs, and it's all about focusing on jobs. And what we want is economically active population going forward. And those are jobs really for our young people first and foremost, and our people. But do we want more people to come to the Isle of Man is the question. That's all goes around the population issue. And if they are economically active and they don't take away Manx jobs, then the answer to that question is quite simply yes.
And you're relaxed about the work permits therefore being relaxed?
Well, we have. We streamlined the work permit system. There were a number of things there that were somewhat a bit of a hindrance for industry, and it was important that we actually get that done in a way that makes it easy for people to employ people, because today we have a very competitive marketplace for employment, and in the Isle of Man we have one of the lowest unemployment we've had for a great long time. So it's very difficult for business to get people, and they want to get people and they want to secure people. So if they have a 1-year work permit, why not make it 5 years? And if they bring a partner, a spouse with them, should they not get similar privileges? So what we have done is streamlined it, and we've opened it up in particular for the medical profession, who are seriously struggling. However, I will say in the medium to long term, our focus is always to train people. And I think of the nurses, for example, we're producing 15 plus nurses a year through our own training system, yet we have situations vacant for nurses in that particular field over 50. So clearly we can't fill those posts, and that's why we need to get people to come here to the Isle of Man.
Is the work permit system really dead and buried really now? Will you be handing them out easily, or will there still be criteria for people to jump through a few hoops?
Absolutely not. The work permit system is there to protect the Manx worker first and foremost. However, what we're trying to do is streamline it, make it easier for people if they can't find a Manx worker. And that's what we've been hearing, and we did a sort of extensive consultation with industry to see how we could streamline that and make it easier. And I'll be quite frank, is the people who employ people on the Isle of Man, if they can find local people, they will want to find people. They don't want the risk of trying to bring somebody to the Isle of Man, have the investment in that, and then having to go through the work permit system to find they can't get the people they want.
Well, you want to employ lots of people, but government's still too big, according to various people. Mr. Robert Shaw's keeps telling us that it's silo mentality.
It's government too. We're trying to work towards a smaller, smarter government. However, I think what we do need to consider is we've taken somewhere in the region of about 700 public service people out of government in the last few years, and that also has an impact on the local economy, and we do need to take that into effect, not to mention obviously the payments with regards to supporting the sustainable pension scheme going forward.
Is it still silo mentality? mean, I know you're working on that. I mean,
well, if I was to take this Enterprise Isle and this Enterprise Fund and what we've just done here, probably in the last maybe 8+ months, I have seen what I would regard as a very refreshing collaboration across government, because whilst the DED have been driving this forward, it has been a collective effort. DOI have been very supportive, for example. Planning have been very supportive with it, and the Cabinet Office and other areas have been very supportive of working together, obviously, for this economic growth that we do desperately need.
Your views on Chris Robertshaw not working within Coman anymore, and council ministers and that sort of thing?
Well, I was disappointed to see Chris go. I've got huge respect for him. He's a strategic thinker, very intellect, very articulate, and and to be quite honest with you, he's worked with me with regards to this Enterprise Isle, Enterprise Fund, and we've some of his thoughts are actually embedded within that particular strategy. So I have absolutely no problem working with Chris, whether he be in council ministers or outside.
When he wants to come back, he's made it clear he's going to stand again now. He's all been down his health, and he feels up to it.
Well, good for him, and and I'm sure he'd be very welcome return. Should he be re-elected, okay. And but obviously there's a lot to happen between now and then.
So back to this thing about getting the numbers up on the Isle of Man. Have you, in your view, is there one sort of area that you can target now? I mean, is there magical people out there waiting to move to the Isle of Man, or are you not fighting with everybody else to get these people to come to the island?
We are. Very competitive point, an excellent point you raised there. People sort of ask the question is, what's the next big thing? And 40 years ago, we obviously changed our taxation, and the finance industry was the next big thing. 10+ years ago, e-gaming came along, and that became it. And what we're trying to say now is, we don't know what that next big thing is, but what we do want to do is promote innovation, and that's what the fund is all about. And the fund is actually one element of an economic ecosystem that we're trying to create. We've just gone for a call for sites for employment development land, and that's what I mean when I say with DOI and planning working with us. Now we want more land opened up for employment opportunities. The work permit system we just touched on there. We're now working on a host of other USPs that will be.
And you're getting other departments. Sorry, you're getting other departments to work with you. I mean, this, again, go back to silo. Are you feeling that there is that cooperation there?
I very, very much see it personally. And yes, when you talk about silo mentality, you're talking about a culture of government, and a culture of government that's worked in a certain way for the last 30-odd years. So when you're just saying, as a politician, you get the rhetoric and you bang the table and you must change, well, that's not enough. It takes time, and you've got to bring people with you to go through change. And I have to say, politically and executively, I'm finding very good cooperation and understanding. And what we have to tell people, particularly our executive, to challenge us and to challenge their line management to say, hang on a minute, let's try this. And that's why I say promoting this word innovation. We don't know which is the next best industry, but we hope it will be the Isle of Man because we've got the right environment.
Well, finally, because I think the bagpipes are going to get us in a second.
Yeah,
the noise.
Sure.
You're one of the rising stars of this administration. You've made it to the ministerial position. How are you positioned for the next step? Are you looking forward to coming back after the election and taking even further power on?
Well, as I've always said, first and foremost, I've already said I'll stand, so that's out in the open, and I find it very rewarding. However,
the question I'm asking.
Hugely challenging. What will I do? I will do what I've always said.
Yeah, I know
do.
that you will say that. But are you looking, or will you seek the position of Chief Minister?
Listen, all I want to do is seek the confidence of the people who put me there in the first place, and it's up to them to decide if I'm worthy enough. I will do whatever job that people ask me to do, and then whatever my colleagues do.
Would you take on the position of Chief Minister? Your answer would be?
My answer would be that if the people give me the trust to go back.
It's a political answer.
I know it. No. I will do what my colleagues say or want me to do.
Okay.
If they ask me to do it, I will do any job.
So you're not ruling it out? That's what
I'm not ruling anything out, because let's face it, who knows where I'll be in a year's time. And I guess the big question really is, who else is going to stand in Douglas East? Paul? Anyone?
I like that. So,
exactly.
Very nice. Nice turnaround.
It is.
But no, I mean, you're looking forward to going back to
who would possibly think that far ahead?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, and you really have no idea, to be honest with you. But right now, I'm going to be going to meet actually a Scottish MSP, my counterpart from Canada, Economic Development Minister, who's visiting to talk about cultural economic opportunities. And that's something we need to explore. We've got, a lot of friends here in this Celtic world, and what we need to do is explore opportunities that are beneficial for us mutually, and that's something I'm working towards.
Didn't even touch on that. Then why are you here? People will be asking, why are you here at taxpayers' expense? Then?
Well, indeed. Well, it's not taxpayers' expense. It's actually paid for by the festival. Oh, okay. But I am here seeking opportunities to build relationships clearly and to see what we can do. And yesterday I met somebody who's talking about bringing an event from Brittany here to the Isle of Man, which would be a cultural event that would introduce their culture, their music, their food to the Isle of Man. And we're talking possibly 2 events, one in the spring and one perhaps in the winter, which would be a nice boost to the island as well.
Some things have failed in the past. It's down to accommodations, let's face it, most of the time, and getting people over that piece of water. I mean, there's numerous things that
and when we're talking about it, the first one possibly would be in November, in probably a pre-Christmas run-up, and something that might be assist and make it attractive, that will work with the people of the Isle of Man. And in particular, what we want to do is, in this case, when we talk about an event that might possibly include food, we want to incorporate our own retail industry as well, so we can complement it. So,
and this is that thing you have to look about, not squeezing out. I mean, I'm thinking about the markets you had in the past, that sort of thing. I think you probably alluded to there.
Yes.
When you get the locals who have trading all year round, then you have someone coming in and selling something for just a quick, brief period. It can disrupt local supplies.
It can, and what we need to do is to get the balance right. But what we're talking about is a cultural event that would see perhaps music and other artists actually come to the Isle of Man, share what they're doing here on the Isle of Man. And one of the other Scottish MSPs I met here, he born an event about 12 years ago, Celtic Connections, in Glasgow in the middle of January, and in those 10 years they now have 120,000 people visiting Glasgow in the middle of January.
Apparently this event 20 odd years ago, it's been going longer than that, but it was nothing. I mean, every year
exactly
bigger and bigger.
And that's what we're here to learn, how what's the secret to this success really.
Right, well, we had an amazing long interview. I wasn't expecting to do so long, but what about your TT? I mean, you always said the World Series and everything.
Yes.
Has that moved anywhere yet?
No, we haven't. A decision will be made this year whether we go ahead with the World Series or not.
You put a lot of money into it so far. Well, I say a lot. I mean, a amount of money.
Well, we basically put an amount of money in that gave us really evidence to say you really need to test this market. And we're at that final stage now that we'll see in black and white really the colour of the money. Is this going to be worthwhile? And we have to balance that with regards to dilution, reputation with the Isle of Man. And the bottom line is it going to be a benefit for the Isle of Man? If it is, then we will make a recommendation, yes. If it's not, then we will concentrate on our home event and to see how we can continue to grow that.